You don't coke or anything to drink? No, sir, I'm afraid to go home.
This is 17-year-old Brandon Aydelott, a teenager whose crime shocked even the most seasoned detectives. And it all started with this 911 call.
San Res 911, you need police?
Somebody's hurt really bad, though. I need somebody to get here as fast as they can get here, please.
Do you see any weapons there?
Yeah, there's a knife. Look at her hand.
There's a knife in her hand?
It was 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve of 2013 when Randall Aydelott had just arrived from a last-minute Christmas shopping spree. He was about to enter the living room when he discovered the body of his wife, 48-year-old Sharon Hill, lying in a pool of blood. His wife's face had been stabbed with several knives, leaving it unrecognizable. And the person who brought such an atrocity was someone unexpected.
Why are you here?
Because I killed Sharon Hill.
You killed her?
Sharon Hill.
Yes.
What?
Even detectives who were accustomed to the dark side of humanity were taken aback by Brandon's chilling confession. But detectives wondered why a calm and composed teenager would kill his mother with such inhumane brutality. Is this even an act of a sane mind? They were yet to find out whether he has a distorted psyche or this teenager is an embodiment of pure evil.
Whatever this detective do, she's one lead investigator in this. I'll let her start off. See where we need to go. Alright, that's right.
It's Brandon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay to call you that?
Yes, ma'am.
Brandon, we're here investigating a criminal investigation that you're involved in.
Yes, ma'am.
We'd like to talk to you a little bit. I'm not sure if you've talked to anyone else, since they got you at your dad's house or not, but I'd like to talk to you a little bit if you don't mind.
Alright, yes, ma'am.
First of all, how are you doing?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
Do you know why you're here?
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Why are you here?
Because I killed Sharon Hill.
You killed her?
Sharon Hill.
Sharon Hill?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What?
The detectives just brought him to the interrogation room and were sitting down, hoping to hear a lot from Brandon, who, without giving them any room to play around with questions, immediately owned up to his crime. And the reason behind his acts would be much more baffling than the detectives expected.
Tell what led up to it. I mean, what happened? She sent me to drug rehab when I had no drugs in my system. And she kept on getting mad at me every time I would tell her I didn't have any drugs in my system. And she just drove me to the brink where I said, I really don't have any drugs in my system. I just completely lost it one day.
What day was that?
Today.
Tell me what happened. I mean, tell me about your afternoon.
I woke up, hung out around the house. I went over there to have dinner, and she just looked at me like I was crazy. And I had enough of it, so I decided to kill her.
You live with your dad, right?
Yes, sir.
Where does he live at?
Behind Circle K.
Is that where the police found you tonight?
Yes, sir.
You went over to your mom. Did y'all start arguing about the drugs again? Or is that what happened?
No, sir. I just went in there and I killed her.
Brandon's words revealed a deep-seated hatred toward his mother, and the roots of it started months ago. Sharon had caught Brandon using drugs like marijuana. As any concerned mother would, she was deeply worried about her son as he spiraled deeper into this destructive behavior of drug use. To stop him from going further down this path, she sent him to rehab, where he began to receive treatment and might have even recovered. However, his father, Randall, pulled him out of the facility. According to him, his son was completely fine and suffered no issues of possible drug abuse. It was then that Brandon began resenting his mother.
What did you kill her with?
A knife and a baseball bat.
Where'd you get the baseball bat?
Out of my room.
At your mom's house, your dad's house?
My mom.
Where's the bat now?
It's in my car.
The car was being selected.
Yes, sir.
How many times did you hear it was bad?
A lot.
Where'd you get the knives from?
The kitchen drawers.
How many knives?
A lot.
Got any idea how many times you stabbed her?
No, sir, just stabbed her.
What made you go over there? Did she call you and invite you over to come have dinner?
I was invited earlier that day by my sister.
Your sister wasn't home there, right?
No, sir, she came over from Dad's house.
Is that your biological sister? Stepsister?
That's my biological sister.
How old is she?
10.
Brandon's subtle smirk hinted at a chilling lack of remorse for his actions. What was truly incomprehensible, however, was the pride with which he recounted the brutal killing of his mother. This leaves us with a haunting question. How could a bright, promising teenager descend into such heinous acts? The answer would soon leave the detectives deeply disturbed.
You go to your mom's house, I mean, is this something that you sit down and hang out a while, or as soon as you get there?
It just happened immediately when I got there.
What happened right when we pulled in?
I got in my car, walked up to the door, knocked on it. She shut the door and I stabbed her.
Did you go inside the house?
Yes, ma'am.
And then she shut the door?
Yes, ma'am.
Take the bat out of the car when you got there.
The bat was already in the room.
Okay, then ring to your mom's house, not your dad.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Did you say anything to her? I mean, did y'all talk at all before you came?
No, ma'am.
Is that the only, I mean, what kind of issues have you really had other than that?
That was the only one.
Okay. After you stabbed her and left the house, where'd you go?
One Dixie.
With different people.
And I hung out there for a little bit.
You talked to anybody there?
No, sir. And then I went back to the house. And Doc showed up, and then I went outside.
Did you change clothes when you got home?
Yes, sir.
Where are the clothes at that you wear when you stabbed your mom?
I threw them in the dirty clothes basket.
That your dad's house?
At my dad's house, yes.
When Sharon was busy preparing Christmas presents, she heard a knock at the door. She was expecting Brandon, who had been invited for the family Christmas dinner. Little did she know that the boy she gave birth to would become the reason for her own death. The moment Brandon stepped inside, he stabbed his mother in the back with a knife. As she collapsed, he slashed her throat and then went further by grabbing a baseball bat from inside the house. He struck her repeatedly with the bat before returning to the kitchen to collect more knives. This detail reflects the vicious nature of Brandon and his desensitized outlook towards violence. This was a behavior that stems from his substance abuse, which ironically was Sharon's greatest worries.
Did you take any of the knives with you when you left your mom?
Yes, sir. I took only one.
Where is it at?
It's at my dad's house.
Where at that?
Behind all the other knives and spoons and everything and all the new tray.
The kitchen drawer?
Yes, sir.
Much to the detective's horror, Brandon's confession was, in fact, true, with Sharon's body being found with a knife barbarically left protruding from her right eye socket. During the autopsy, it was revealed that another small knife had been shoved into the same eye socket, deep enough to lodge inside her skull. As if that wasn't enough, Brandon stomped on her face multiple times, disfiguring her even further. The blood tainted all the presents that were carefully placed under the tree, leaving a grim reminder of the tragedy that had ensued. Doesn't this remind you of Art the Clown from Terrifier again? Only this time, the terror was not on a screen. It was all too real.
How do you feel about what happened?
Like I did the right thing.
Was
Yes, ma'am.
it? I mean, why do you think you did the right thing?
Because she was saying that I was smoking or I wasn't.
Have you talked to anybody else about this? You call a friend? Anybody?
Me and my dad was involved.
How was that?
It didn't go well. My aunt was involved. My friend was involved. My sister was even involved.
Involved in what?
Like whenever I had to take a drug test and I passed it and then I went to the real one. No, I mean I failed the first one. Then I went to the real one and I passed it and they still checked me into a drug rehab facility.
Okay. And you're saying your aunt, your sister, and your dad were involved in checking you into that facility?
That was all my mom's idea.
When you got back to Dad's house, did you take a shower?
Yes, sir, I did.
What do you think can happen now?
I think that Elena Rivera should be kicked off the ground.
Who's that?
This girl that's in charge of smoking. She's Native American.
She's in charge of all of them?
Yeah.
Like in the whole world, or?
Yeah, she only even smoked.
Detectives struggled to determine whether Brandon was purely evil or deeply unstable mentally. The disturbing details he shared and his unnervingly calm demeanor raised serious concerns regarding his state of being. Witnessing a son kill his mother with such extreme violence and justify it as being right was utterly shocking. At this point, detectives began to seriously consider the possibility that Brandon's actions might have stemmed from a disturbed, psychotic mindset.
You don't coke or anything to drink?
No, so I'm ready to go home.
All right, give us just a few minutes to do this. I just got here. Okay?
All right.
And those were Brandon's last words, which are as eerie as they are unsettling. What could a teenager like him have actually been doing? Well, the answer was found much later. A social worker had visited Brandon in jail, to whom he spoke of someone named Braxton Strange, a figure he described as the ruler of Navarro. According to Brandon, Braxton was not just a person, he was a god. And this god had given Brandon a mission to fulfill a prophecy. This so-called prophecy was the reason Brandon claimed he killed his mother. In his mind, the act would immortalize her, allowing her to spend eternity with her ex-husband, Randall. But the prophecy didn't end there. Randall was meant to be the next victim on Brandon's list. When the police followed up on his story and searched for the so-called ruler of Navarro, Braxton Strange, they found nothing. No one by that name. No mysterious figure pulling the strings. Just another twisted fantasy. This delusion was later debunked by psychiatrists who were in charge of treating Brandon. They confirmed that he was suffering from schizophrenia, a disorder that likely fueled his disturbing beliefs and actions. In 2016, Brandon Aydelott was tried in a one-day bench trial before Circuit Judge John F. Simon. Psychiatrist Dr. Robert Scott Benson testified that Brandon's schizophrenia led him to believe he was justified in killing his mother. The defense argued that Brandon was not guilty by reason of insanity, or NGRI, as his mental illness prevented him from understanding the wrongfulness of his actions.
Mr. Aydelott, the state attorney has filed what's called a direct information. Do you understand that? All right.
It was a one and done for Brandon Aydelott in the juvenile justice system. As expected, Circuit Court Judge John Simon tells the 17-year-old accused of second-degree murder he will go on trial for his life. As an adult, Public Defender Bruce Miller says he has not yet assigned Aydelott's defense attorney, and it'd be premature to talk strategy for defending the young man accused of viciously murdering his mother, Sharon.
It's so early in the process that we ourselves have many questions, and we're going to do our own investigation. He is still a child in Florida and being prosecuted as an adult, so we will take that into consideration and try to keep his best interest.
And what do you mean by keeping his best interest?
Look under every stone, try to do everything we can to help.
Miller's team could have to go up against first-degree murder charges, as the state attorney's office says it has ample evidence and a confession of the crime.
Judge Simon agreed with the defense and ordered Brandon to be involuntarily committed to Florida State Hospital, a secure mental health facility. Brandon would undergo regular evaluations to assess whether his mental health had improved enough for him to no longer pose a danger to society.
Within the next several weeks, we will present this case to the grand jury. The grand jury is the only body that can actually charge first-degree murder. They will consider it. If they determine the facts are sufficient to establish that it was a premeditated murder, then they will return an indictment for first-degree murder.
In a recent court ruling on August 15, 2024, Pam Hill, Sharon's sister, testified something profound that explains the impact Brandon Aydelott had on the family after he committed the crime.
My sister, and so I went to the state attorney's office and talked to them. And I love him, that boy, and I looked at him as my nephew. You know, a lot of this sounds, in theory, like we have a plan. He killed my sister when his life was charmed. What do you talk about to the person that killed your sister? He is dangerous, and he has told me he's not through killing my family. It took 3 years to establish competency, which my understanding is that's a very low bar. He had mentioned people with brown eyes weren't on his side, only blue-eyed people were. And I asked him, I said, well, I've got a brown eye and a green eye, Brandon. And he said, well, I just don't know what I'd do with you. It's no secret, I've never wanted him to get out of the incarceration or the admission. I realize he's a patient at Florida State Hospital. I never wanted him out.
Brandon was confirmed to be held in the Santa Rosa County Jail. The court ruled that he would be transferred back to Florida State Hospital, where he will remain in the custody and care of the Department of Children and Families until a bed becomes available for him at the Appalachia Center. Sharon Hill, a Pensacola native, was a devoted single mother and a beloved science teacher at Holly Navarre Middle School. She dedicated her life to nurturing and guiding her son Brandon, even as she faced the challenges of his troubling behavior and drug use. Sharon's warmth, humor, and unwavering dedication to her students left an indelible mark on those around her. Her tragic death shattered her family and community, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. To all who knew her, Sharon was a source of strength, compassion, and inspiration, a guiding light extinguished far too soon. This story is as heartbreaking as it is haunting. Brandon was once a bright and promising teenager, full of potential and hope for the future. But substance abuse dragged him into a dark and destructive spiral. As we try to make sense of this tragedy, one question lingers. Could Sharon have done something, anything differently to save her son and herself? Was there a moment where a different choice, a louder plea, or a firmer hand might have changed his path? Or was Brandon's descent into darkness something no one could stop? This case forces us to confront the devastating impact of addiction and the unbearable weight parents carry when their love alone isn't enough to save their child. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And for more such disturbing cases, follow our channel. From all of us, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a peaceful holiday season. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.